Welcome, horror fam, to HHN365, a Halloween Horror Nights podcast. As always, my name is Mike, and I'm here with my co-host, Duff.
Hey, guys.
And our producer, Nico.
Hey, howdy, hey.
You can interact with us anytime at Twitter and Instagram at HHN365, and feel free to leave us a voicemail at any time at 407-906-3405. On today's show, we will be having an in-depth discussion about the tribute store and clues it has given us about what HHN30 would have looked like. Before we get to that, we do have one bit of news, not necessarily HHN news, but Universal news. Duff, what happened with Epic Universe?
Epic Universe? What's that?
Oh, no.
Oh, that thing that got put on hold indefinitely and potentially canceled. Who knows?
Oh, Westcott.
Yeah. So the project has been put on hold. That's announced by Universal. And there have been some rumors floating around that it could be outright canceled as well.
Yeah, I've heard they did massive layoffs with anyone who worked on it as well.
And that's coming on the back of, Nico, correct me if I'm wrong, a 94% loss in profit from the parks?
Loss in revenue.
Revenue, thank you.
Revenue, yeah. When they're discussing these terms, revenue does not equal profit. So I know there were some discussions.
Good.
Go ahead. I was just saying there were some discussions that they still turned a profit even with only making $94 million. I'm like, well, they didn't say profit. They said revenue. And the parks are doing better because they are open and the value of them are depreciating at a slower pace than if they were just sitting there not being used. So that gets factored into creative accounting like that.
Well,
either way, they're not making nearly as much money as they were.
Oh, hell no.
And it does not look like, the economy or the tourism is going to bounce back here, at least to where it was for quite a while. So it seems like this was the right choice.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's not shelved forever. I'll have to admit, I'm not someone who got super hyped about Epic Universe just because I didn't really have the time to do the research. And I mean, I was excited about everything, was hearing about it, but I wasn't someone who was just counting down the days for this to open. Not quite yet anyway. So it doesn't cut me as deep as some other people, but it is sad to hear. All right. Well, let's move on to our main segment. Like I said, we are going to be kind of taking an in-depth look at the Tribute Store. So since we've last recorded, the Tribute Store is now officially open and we know a lot about it.
Yeah, it's fun to walk through. There's a lot of nice little Easter eggs, a lot of detail, and it smells like HHN, so can't complain.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do we want to do this? Do we just kind of want to go straight through the door and kind of basically do a dissection?
Let's talk about it a bit like we're dissecting a house.
Sure. Okay. So from the outside, what does it look like?
Well, from the outside, first of all, you're probably going to be standing in a socially distanced queue that wraps around the corner of the building because there are currently waits to get in at most times of the day.
Okay.
Once you get through that, though, do you already know what the facade looks like at this point? It appears that it is based off of Frankenstein's laboratory. When you walk into the main entrance hallway, it's keeping that same theme going. There's some rubble on the sides, on your left and your right, just like the facade itself. The fun starts after you come in and take the turn into the first room, which is going to be Frankenstein's lab. The main centerpiece here is going to be Frankenstein's monster on the table. Underneath a sheet. It has really cool lighting effects on it that kind of show electricity flowing through his body. He's massive, so the scale of it's really impressive as well. And just kind of the layout, he's the only thing in the center of that room, and everything else is just on the walls around it, basically. So they really do a good job at making that the focus and impressing with the focus. Throughout the room as well, there's a bunch of other cool lighting effects. Literally across the entire top of the room. And otherwise, typical lab looking stuff. I don't know how much detail to go into that. There's not a crazy amount of Easter eggs in this room compared to the next room we're going to go into. So not much to talk about on that front. And then the merch itself is just going to be Universal Monsters merch that I don't believe any of it is specific to HHN.
Yeah.
Or was going to be specific to HHN, should I say? It seems like it's all just general merch that would have been at the parks anyways.
Yeah, and like random masks that I think were like left over from Mardi Gras and stuff. Like there's some weird stuff in this room.
Yeah, it also has like the it's like steampunk looking masks as well.
Yeah, they got those from Toothsomes and just brought them over.
Yeah, so not sure if that would have tied in somewhere or if they just thought that kind of fit the laboratory theme and it was going to go there the whole time. I assume it was a filler, but who knows?
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the next room.
Yeah, so in this lab, you can walk around freely, but there's also a line to get into the next room. Once it's your turn to make it into the next room, you can walk around freely. This room is going to be based around Jack and the icons. It seems like it's supposed to be like Jack's circus. Really cool theming throughout. You look straight up. There's Jack standing right in front of you. Kind of, again, like Frankenstein was laid out, or Frankenstein's monster was in the center of the room. Jack, the same thing. Again, the scale, really impressive, full-sized. The details look good on him as well. You look up, and you have pumpkins up on the ceiling, kind of giving you vibes of Central Park and some scare zones in the past.
Yeah,
and some things we wanted to see return this year. Hopefully next year now. And then you're actually going to have banners, one having all the icons on it. And it actually has a top part of it covered a bit by tapestry, I guess. So don't know what it says, but it does have all the icons on it. And as you move around the room, not each icon, you have director, usher, storyteller, caretaker, and
all your
fear
favorites
will be have individual posters as well around the room. So we are missing Bloody Mary. We're missing Lady Luck. We're missing Chance as well.
Yeah. The main ones are there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of shots fired there, but yeah.
No, I mean Lady Luck is one of my favorites, but yeah, I mean they match up with some of the merch that we were going to get to. Basically the same things as some of the collector pins and stuff are basically the same ones that are around the
yeah, exactly. It's going to be those characters, which we'll get into that piece shortly. There are some cool details. They kind of make it look like this place has been sitting here for a while. There's been posters that have been plastered there, some a lot more faded than others. So it's kind of a cool effect. It looks like this has been happening over time. Some cool things that you do see. There is I guess like a carnival carriage is what you'd call it, with the Oddfellows circus logo on it, which if you aren't aware is part of Jack's backstory. That's where he came from. That's kind of like his turning point where he becomes the Jack that we know and love.
Right.
There's also posters for the Chainsaw Drill Team, which I thought was really cool to see them. You're also going to see Terror Mines. You're going to see Rat Lady. You're going to see hints to the director. There's just a lot of different past houses and original properties scattered around, which I recommend going in and spending quite a bit of time just looking at these because a lot of really cool Easter eggs are laid out in here. They also do have like items from all the icons that they have around the room. So like the storyteller, you have her glasses and her I can't think of the word, like what you'd pull teeth out, what she pulled teeth out with.
Oh, the old teeth puller.
No.
Oh,
but you know what I mean. Why can't I pliers.
Yeah.
Thanks for helping, Nico. That was all
the old teeth puller things.
Teeth puller, the old rusty teeth puller.
You have the caretaker's hat. You have some clown shoes as well. You know who that's for. So really, just a lot of cool Easter eggs in there. Go check them out. Apparently, there's some for Bloody Mary as well that I was not able to find. So I'm gonna go try to find that and have some fun just picking out more Easter eggs. Mike, I know you haven't been down there yet. I haven't. No. We need to get you down there, and I'll come with you, and we'll try to pick out as many Easter eggs as we can find.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds great. Everything that I've seen, that this is really, really awesome. That they have put a ton of work into this tribute store.
And then we should add, before we start getting into the actual merchandise itself, the door that would lead you into the third room, if it was open. We can talk a little more about what we think that might be later. But surrounding that, you actually have what you'll remember as the facade of last year's tribute store, which is a pretty cool touch.
That's cool.
But that's not the main part I want to talk about that. The thing is, if you go up to that door, there's posters of the past events on it, the ones that are for sale, and the shirts, the ones that are on the shirts they've been selling. But there's one in the center of that that says, "Gasp in the awe, be astonished by the terrifying horror, the world famous tribute store," and some more blurbs on the bottom. But it does have two, like, what looks like they're supposed to be stickers on top of it that say "coming soon," and that has more to come still. A secret room awaits you. What could it be? Just wait and see. So, is that something that was there beforehand with the plan that they'd be opening a few rooms at a time, and we just don't see that room now? Or is that teasing us a bit that we will be getting that third room?
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if there's enough merch to open a third room, especially if the third room is themed around an IP. But it's who knows? It'd be really cool if they did open a third room closer to the event, or closer to when the event would have been.
I'll take any new HHN related stuff at this point, so I welcome it with open arms.
Yeah, for sure.
So you want to get into the merch a bit then?
Yeah, let's talk about the merch. Absolutely. So, also in this room, this is kind of where they had all the retro shirts, socks, shot glasses, posters, pins. We've already kind of all discussed all that. There was also, is this also where they have like the annual pass holder shirt?
Yeah, they do have the annual pass holder shirt in here, as well as in the UOAP lounge. Right. This is the one that has it was Jack, storyteller, director, and Eddie. Thank you. Yeah. Which a nice touch. They had the ICU Eddie. Really liked seeing him be represented in that way.
That was really cool.
I don't love the shirt, to be honest. It's not my favorite design. It's a little too plain. The inclusion of what IP or what icons are on there just seemed a little interesting. Like, why these IPs?
Yeah,
just not the shirt for me. But it's not too bad. However, they did have that team member shirt that had all the icons we discussed before, kind of cutting out of like the image of a 30.
Yeah, that one's really cool.
With the 30 years, 30 fears. Unfortunately, that is a team member shirt. None of us are team members. If any team member just likes giving stuff away, hey, we're here. What's up? Let me know. Size medium. But yeah, no. So the team member shirt beats the hell out of the UOAP shirt for me.
Yeah, same. Also in this room, apparently there are collector pins, right? Of those posters that are around the room.
Yeah, so they have one for each of the posters. That's Fright Nights, Horror Nights 2, Horror Nights 9, and then Horror Nights 10. They also have a 30 Years, 30 Fears pin. Now they also have that collectible box set that's going to have the icons, looking very similar to what you would see on the team member shirt, that kind of style.
Yeah.
And the chaser is actually Jack. So I know a lot of people have been trying to complete the full set and having trouble getting one or two of them. I'm not much of a pin guy. I've been tempted. I've held off for now, and I'm going to keep trying to do so. But I'm such a sucker for HHN, and especially in a year like this where I want it any way I can, it's tough to avoid them, even though I don't like pins in general.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I'm probably going to hold off on these pins, but I'm definitely going to grab up some of the shirts, I think.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. Some other things they have are not HHN related. They have like decorated skulls that are based off icons. They also have ornaments that are just based off HHN properties in general. And then a few just completely, I don't even know what they are. They're kind of like vinyls and they're bone dolls or something. I don't know.
Okay, so just kind of
completely not related to HHN stuff.
Gotcha.
But you may have seen that they released the most badass shirt I've seen this year. One of my favorite shirts I think I've ever seen come from HHN, possibly, because that thing is outstanding. So this is actually the Scarezon shirt.
So how do we know that this is the Scarezon shirt?
That's what it's labeled as. So like, it has the SKU, and then the item is called, I think it's Scarezon 20 or
so
or
on the
like
tag
that.
It literally says like Scarezon shirt.
Yeah, it says Scarezon or SC. I don't remember which one, but yes, it does.
Okay.
Which if you look at the characters on there, that's kind of a surprise. Well, it's actually a surprise for two reasons, because it's also very spoiler heavy.
Yes.
First of all, we'll knock out the big elephant in the room here, and the main feature on the room is Pumpkin Lord, who, as you probably know, was one of the heavily rumored original houses we were basically since the beginning. So seeing him on what we know to be called the Scarezone shirt, interesting. And also the fact that he was never announced, and now here he is on a shirt that they are selling on a canceled year. Interesting.
Very interesting. What else is on the shirt?
So they also do have Vamp 55 meaty meats, so I'll leave it to Cleaver Zone maybe. They also had Bone, and I will be completely honest, I don't know if they had a name, and if they do, I'm sorry, I don't recall it. But the ladies who were dressed in white, who were at Festival of the Deadliest.
Yeah.
And then there was one more, and it had it as a special guest in the top right, and we're not 100% sure on this. I'll be honest with you. We tried figuring it out, but our best guess is it's some form of creep. From Creep Show?
So there was definitely a rumored Creep Show Scarezone that is not depicted on this shirt. Unless other than the style of the shirt, it being like a horror comic,
I think
it's depicted in that way.
But this guy doesn't really look like any form we've seen him take before. And it could be kind of like a redone version. It's possible. It's something he does, You see him in different forms, right?
Right. Yeah. That's the
possible thing. And I will say that we were pretty confident from things we have heard that Creepshow was going to be a Scarezone. Indeed, it was more than a rumor. So it would only make sense if that's who it is, right?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, he does take forms of other things. This is not a form that I personally recall him ever taking, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to go with it being Creep because I don't know what else it would be. And as a Scarezone shirt, it fits, because that puts us at 5 different Scarezones if you took each property as its own Scarezone.
Right.
So do you want to talk about that aspect a little bit,
like just to kind of discuss
what the Scarezones would have been potentially?
Yeah, because of all of the things that were rumored, Creepshow is really the only one that we had an idea that was coming. All these other ones kind of come out of left field a little bit, right?
I mean, one thing we're pretty sure of is that none of these, except maybe Creepshow, were actually planned ahead of time. This is something that was caused by COVID-19, and they kind of had to work around some things to make the Scarezones work. So they found new properties to make that happen, it seems. What I'm surprised
old properties, really.
That they just brought back 2 Scarezones as they were, it seems. I mean, we don't know much about what Festival of the Deadliest is because it just said Bone and had the 2 characters. But Vamp 55 actually said Vamp 55.
Vamp 55,
so it had the Ice Cream Man is on the shirt that they had at Vamp 55. So very interesting that they'd bring something that they've already advanced to Vamp 85 back as a year they've previously done. I'll be honest, I wouldn't complain too much, especially a year like this, to see one of my all-time favorite Scarezones return.
Yeah. It's probably one of the most popular Scarezones of recent years.
I'd say so.
For one to come back, it would be this one.
But very interesting, I think. I don't know how you feel. For it to come back exactly as Vamp 55.
Yeah. I'm sure there were going to be some changes to it. We don't know exactly.
What it wouldn't be the exact same thing.
But it was going to be called Vamp 55. Maybe Vamp 55 the sequel or something. They're probably some sort of thing. that makes it a little bit different. Some sort of tagline, I bet.
So the Deadliest, I think, was also kind of cool because a lot of people were clamoring for the return of Bone. They kind of felt like he was like the unnamed icon of HHN27, and I understand where they're coming from. But I loved the concept of the Scarezon. I liked a lot of the characters within the Scarezon. I thought it was executed poorly. So to see it get a redemption would have been cool. Would this have been the year for that with how Scarezones would have had to be? I don't know.
Yeah. Sounds like that was a very Stillwater Reliance Scarezone, right? And this year was going to be a Stillwater Reliance Scarezones. So I think they probably just kind of...
Maybe. I think the big focus was still going to be the stages, and I don't know how many, if any, scare actors they'd have on the ground in Scarezones, you know? But, you know, I think it would have been cool to see it get its redemption. I know a lot of people did love it. I think more people thought it was disappointing, though, because it was very hyped going into the year.
Right.
Pumpkin Lord getting its own Scarezone as well as a house. I love when Scarezones and houses tie together. So I'm all about that.
Yeah, that would have been really cool. This was the one that I think cuts me the deepest. Well, that and Vamp 55 coming back. Not being able to see those two. I have to admit, when this shirt was released and we got to see like, oh, these were going to be the Scarezones, it was pretty devastating. It brought back some of the same feelings from that first day of finding out that HHN was canceled. It was definitely kind of a relapse in the morning when I saw the shirt.
Yeah, no, I wanted to see a lot of this. One thing I will say about Pumpkin Lord, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on this as well. Oh, I should mention real quick, there were magnets as well. One had Jack, one had Pumpkin Lord's face on it. So that goes to my point. It almost seems like Pumpkin Lord was being treated as a face of / low-level icon of the event by some of the merch we've seen. Do you think that's a route they were possibly considering going, especially adding on a Scarezone to his already existing house?
Well, I mean, but potentially we have seen anniversary years in the past get a new icon. Like Fear is the one that jumps off to me. An anniversary year brought back all the icons, but then we also get a brand new icon. Would that potentially be what they were going to do here? It can basically make the Pumpkin Lord kind of a new icon.
It's possible. I think it would be really cool to happen. We haven't even seen, more than 15% of what the event truly was. There's a lot more merch. We haven't actually seen the Scarezones in any way. We do know what the houses would have been. But from what we have seen, he's featured pretty heavily.
Right.
So, I think it would be cool. I always want to be willing to accept more icons and just expand the HHN lore.
Yeah, for sure.
But there was one more on the shirt, and that would be Leave It to Cleaver. So what would you think about a Leave It to Cleaver Scarezone coming in?
I could. That was, I think, the biggest question mark for me is that how it would work as a Scarezone. What do you think, Dov? I think it would be fun. We've never seen it as a Scarezone before, unless I'm wrong, right?
As a Scarezone, no.
Yeah, no, I don't think we have.
So, I think it would be cool. I like bringing back past properties, especially as a filler, as they would have to do this year. It's a great way to do that, rather than having to come up with a whole original concept in a couple months. So I like the idea.
Tonally, it's a little similar to Vamp 55, though.
Yeah. The time frame that you're looking at is very similar. It's both kind of campy, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So they do have very similar vibes. So that would have been interesting. Now, I do kind of want to close out the whole Scarezone shirt thing as we don't fully know the context of this. So while this could each have been individual Scarezones, maybe it wasn't. We don't really know what other merch looked like that could reveal more to us. So for all we know, this could have been a like mashup scare zone of some sort.
Right. Maybe there was some sort of anniversary scare zone, and these were the highlights from it. The Van 55 Leave It to Clear Festival of the Deadliest, and whatever the random special guest thing is. Like, I mean,
I'm gonna keep going with Creep. I'm keep going.
Could be something from Gothic. He kind of looks like a gargoyle. Potentially, we really don't know what that is.
Yeah, no, not for sure. I'd put money on Creep, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, gargoyle looking thing.
Yeah, but so we don't even know for sure if this would have been like 5 separate scare zones, or hell, this could have been a misprinted shirt, and this could have nothing to do with scare zones for all we know. Like they could just put the wrong label. Like I mean, it's happened at HHM before where they've put like a completely incorrect tag name for shirts, and you're like, oh, okay, whatever.
Right.
Usually it doesn't matter, but this year when we're looking for any hints to what we could have got, we're really grasping at whatever they're giving us.
Right.
So I'm going to keep assuming that these were all going to be scare zones, but just so you guys know, we are not sure. We did not know much about scare zones. The only thing we'd heard at all was Creep Show. So this was, outside of that, all news to us.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else we want to add to basically the tribute store and what it has told us about potentially what the event would have looked like?
Well, I think first room's obvious. We were going to get the Bride's House, Universal Classic Monsters related. Obviously, another anniversary year, icon heavy. We were going to have the Icon House. We were going to have Anniversary House. So that room plays into exactly what we thought as well. So as far as what we see in the rooms, I don't think we got too much new info. I mean, obviously they're confirming things at that point. We didn't know they were, 100%. We were just confident they were happening.
Right.
So I think the only thing that's like completely new to us is one, they showed us all the icons that will be featured, at least heavily. So we know that like Fear, who's kind of always up in the air, would be making a return.
Right.
Eddie as well would be making a return.
Right.
But other than that, just basically the Scare Zone shirt is the only thing that's like a news to us, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, for sure.
How do you feel how do I put it? The impact of the tribute store is with no HHN. Do you think it's like a good way to kind of cope as HHN fans? Do you feel it's more of a just a simple money grab?
I mean, like you're saying, there's a social distance line out the door for people to get into it. So it's clearly making a mark. People are wanting to see it, wanting to go in. I'm sure people are buying merch as well. I see people buying it. So I think it's working for them. They have this merchandise, they have to release it. I can't say it's just money grab when they don't have any control over COVID-19 and the event ultimately getting canceled. You printed the stuff, you got to release it. Now,
do you think they're going to do that for everything they have, or are they going to hold back on some stuff for like some major spoilers?
Like, I think
IPs could be an issue, obviously.
That's what I was going to say. Anything with an IP on it, they probably aren't the contracts are probably not allowing them to release any of that merch. So we basically got anything without an IP on it.
And I think we could safely say there would have been more. Do you think they just end up releasing everything that doesn't feature an IP, or they try to hold out on some stuff?
I bet they end up releasing anything that doesn't feature an IP that they control. I bet we start getting, if there is Universal Monsters or like the Brides stuff, I bet we'll get that. I think they're gonna try to sell everything. We don't know for sure, but I bet they will.
And then there is one more thing that's been brought up around the tribute store itself, and this has been confirmed by managers on location that it will be open at least through Horror Nights season. There have been rumors that it could be open through the end of the year, all the way potentially to the event next year. Do you see that happening, or do you just see it shutting up shop November 1st?
I personally think it'll probably close up, but it's really going to depend on It's going to depend on how much merch they have still to get rid of, don't you think? Like, if there's still boxes and boxes of merch back there, I think they're going to try to leave it up. Like, unless they had some sort of plans to put other stuff in there, if we were going to see some sort of Christmas themed merch shop, or, the Mardi Gras. I mean, who knows what's going to happen next year or next spring for the Mardi Gras thing again. So
way too early to speculate on what Mardi Gras could potentially look like.
Exactly. But I'm just alluding to that space is used for other things.
Well,
so if they left the HHN shop up, it would change those plans.
Yeah. I mean, I think it kind of only gets in the way of the Mardi Gras tribute store, really.
Right.
Which, again, we don't know what's happening. They probably don't have any idea whether that's going to go on or not. I mean, we know they don't have any way of knowing. Things could take a turn for the worst. It's possible.
Yeah.
I hope not, but it's possible.
Anything else to add on the tribute store? Well, let's speculate a little bit of what that third room would be.
My guess is I won't get too detailed, but I would say an IP room.
Oh, I was looking at just straight up speculate. I don't have any clue. I don't want any rumors, but I was just going to say straight up Beetlejuice.
Yeah, that's possible. I think.
Definitely
an IP Beetlejuice, or it could be a mixture of IPs.
Yeah,
I'm not going to pretend I know for sure, but I'm pretty confident it would be. I don't even want to say confident. I feel like it would be IP.
It would be, yeah, definitely. And I feel like the best IP that stands out there is maybe like
especially for like merchandise. Yeah, Beetlejuice for sure.
Right, because we're already getting the Universal Monsters IP room in the first room. So
yeah, exactly.
But you're right. This room is probably the room that was going to hold the other IP merch, where like we would get Billie Eilish shirts and things like that in this particular room as well.
Oh yeah,
right?
I would assume so.
Yeah. Do you go ahead, Nika?
I was just going to say, do you think they'd be playing Billie Eilish music along with in the Beetlejuice room, or would they just be playing some Danny Elfman?
They're probably just
in there.
I mean, it depends how it's themed. Is it just Beetlejuice? Then probably just Beetlejuice. If it's a full Icons mashup, yeah, I think we'd probably. I'd say definitely hear Billie Eilish.
Yeah.
Well, they can fetch the old Beetlejuice cartoon soundtrack from the SeaWorld dumpster and just play it in there.
There you go.
Y'all
they
know
gotta
that,
save
right?
money this year, right?
Right. Y'all know that, right? Y'all get that joke about Journey to Atlantis?
Yes,
yes.
You talk to me about all this nerdy stuff, Nico.
Okay, I didn't know if Mike knew this.
Oh, okay.
No.
So if any listener doesn't know, before the refurb, I think in 2017, for some reason, after you went down the drop and you went up the chain lift before the end of Journey to Atlantis, they played the theme to the Beetlejuice animated series in there for some unknown reason. Besides, it sounds great.
They just had the rights to it.
Who knows? That's back when Bush owned the park, so maybe they had a bigger pull.
Some sort of weird contract that they were able to play it.
But this is also the same company that doesn't like to pay for their roller coasters, so
shots fired.
All right. Well,
all right.
Back to HHN. Yeah, I mean, if you were planning on going, I recommend doing it. It's a lot of fun. You get the HHN smell, HHN merch, obviously. Seeing Jack kind of in person for the first time in 5 years is really cool. Seeing the icons plastered all over is really cool. And the rooms are just really impressive on their own. There's a lot of detail in them, a lot of effects within at least the first one. So definitely worth checking out if you're considering it.
Overall, Duff, how do you rate, at least it's the merch that we have seen be released overall? Do you think this was going to be a really solid merch year?
Yeah, I really like the style they're going for. Even on the AP shirt, which I don't love the actual design, kind of the aesthetic they're going for, I really enjoy. And that carries out throughout the second room entirely. So that's definitely was going to be just the vibe of the entire event. And then that Scarezon shirt is just badass. One of my favorite HHN shirts ever, potentially.
Yeah, really cool. Yeah, it was going to be a really cool merch year, and I'm sad that we didn't get to see what it all come together, especially on the merch side.
Hey, at least we get to rock our Hunt Vault collaboration Slaughter Cinema.
Hey.
Yeah. We can just show up and walk around with that.
And it was based off an Icon shirt, so it's like perfect.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it fits. It fits. Anything else to add, Duff, before we wrap it up?
No, I think that's it. I will say I think we're still a little down after the news, of course. We had a really fun episode last week. Had a lot of great guests on, so that helps a lot.
Yeah,
and
for
it
sure.
was kind of a way to, just talk with others about it, and it kind of makes it easier. Well, now it's been a week, and I'm sad again. So,
Yeah. It's not going to go away anytime soon, unfortunately. It's all for the best, but
definitely. Yeah, no, we aren't complaining about the decision. I know that all three of us believe this was for the best. Whether they did it for the safety or not, it was best for the safety of guests and team members in Scare.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So I know this episode is probably a little shorter than you're used to from us. Maybe a little lower energy than you're used to from us. I promise we have more exciting things coming down the pipeline, but we just kind of had to knock out this tribute store episode and didn't want to kind of mash two concepts together for one.
For sure.
But again, tribute store is a lot of fun. I recommend checking it out. I will go quite a bit. It gave me like somewhat of an HHN fix this year.
Yeah, for sure.
Before we go, Duff, what would be your favorite Easter egg that you have seen in the tribute store so far?
Honestly, I think the Oddfellows cart, just because that's something that really goes more into the lore than anything specific that you see on the icon. So it's not tying back to just like a specific house or scare actor, but just actually diving into Jack's lore. So I really like that.
Yeah. That was my attempt at elonging the episode a little.
That was the HHN365 penis enlargement process.
Still disappointing. All right. Well, on that note,
HHN365 satisfying once every 5 weeks, maybe.
Blue Chew, if you want to advertise, please hit us up.
Absolutely. I'll take that Blue Chew money.
Yeah, I'll take that.
All right. Well, we'll be back next week, hopefully with a new sponsor. If you'd like to be on next week, when I talk about the Epic Universe being canceled, maybe indefinitely, if you want to talk about any of your favorite merch, you can give us a call at 407-906-3405, and we'll be happy to play and discuss your voicemail. Also, you can interact with us anytime at Twitter and Instagram, HHN365. We will be back next week. We're going to try to get a pretty solid schedule down, and so we'll should be trying to release shows every Tuesday, right, Nika?
That's the plan, to keep it on schedule.
Yeah, that's the plan. Tuesday. So yeah, to try to keep an ear out for
we initially had it planned because Tuesday would be like your prep to go into like your Wednesdays for Horror Nights, but
it's your recovery.
But as long as we keep this up, we should definitely give you a little sense of normalcy during your week.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much for listening, guys, and we'll see you in the streets.